Frank Stella was an American painter born in Massachusetts. He graduated with a degree in history from Princeton University before moving to New York in 1958. At this time in America, abstract expressionism was huge. Jackson Pollock had a 4-page spread in Life magazine, and he was most known for his drip paintings, where he would lay a large piece of canvas on the floor and he would pour, drip, and splatter paint all over the surface. They were splashy, showy, intuitive, and chaotic. Pollock's work, as well as the work of other abstract expressionists like Franz Kline, was incredibly influential on the young Stella. However, upon his arrival in New York City, he felt compelled to rebel against this expressive use of paint. Instead, he was more attracted to the flatness of works like Barnett Newman and the target paintings of Jasper Johns. He began to produce works that were not so much as a picture as they were an object. They didn't represent anything of the physical or emotional world of the artist. He stated that the pictures were just a flat surface with paint on it, nothing more. Stella's work culminated in a series of black paintings. Now, when you first see the work, you might be taken aback a little. It seems so straightforward. The elements are simple enough. Black parallel lines arranged in a very deliberate manner. Black enamel paint, a thicker than conventional canvas. It's not immediately apparent how it's made or the thought process behind each decision. It seems strong and stoic, maybe even a little cold and void of emotions. These paintings were made freehand by Stella with a house painter's brush. You can see irregularities when you look closely at the surface, but you're not going to see any gestural strokes like those of the abstract expressionists. Really, the hand is quite removed. You can't really tell where each stroke starts or ends or what the movement is other than following the line. Stella called these stripes a regulated pattern that forced illusionistic space out of the painting at a constant rate. The precisely delineated black stripes intended to emphasize the flatness of the canvas and really force the audience to realize and acknowledge the canvas as a flat surface with paint on it. This is important because it's in direct opposition with a really widely held belief that painting is a window into the three-dimensional space. Paintings reflected things of the real world. This was an idea that dominated since the Renaissance. The thicker than conventional canvases really emphasized the objectness as opposed to the thinner, more window-like quality of conventional canvases. And this apparent materiality of paint and canvas being just paint and canvas as opposed to more representational or illusionistic images blurred the boundaries between painting and sculpture. This would become a pattern that we see in a group of artists that, after several different names, they would be known as the Minimalists, and they would also use non-art materials in their work such as plywood, scrap metal, and fluorescent light bulbs. They would be characterized by unitary geometric forms and industrial materials. It was a cool anonymity that contrasts with the hot expressivism of the previous generation of artists. They attempted to avoid metaphorical association, symbolisms, and suggestions of spiritual transcendence. They really tried to remove the suggestions of self-expressivism and illusions. There's no signs of the artist's hand or thought process or aesthetic decisions. The minimalist emphasis on the eradication of authorship inevitably led to the sense that the meaning was not so much inside the object as much as it was on the surface. It existed because of the viewer's interaction with it. By the late 1960s, minimalism began to show signs of breaking apart. A lot of the artists were moving on to different ideas, and it was also receiving a lot of criticism from people who thought it wasn't the right direction to go into. One of the most important of these would be Michael Fried's essay Art and Objecthood, which was published in Artform in 1967. In it, he wrote about the importance of the movement as a turning point in modern art, but he also wrote about how he was uncomfortable with what it meant. For him, these artists were not so much creating a work of art as much as a political or ideological statement about the nature of art. Just because you arrange non-art objects in a three-dimensional space and proclaim it as art, it didn't necessarily make it art. For him, he said, art is art and an object is an object. Minimalism began to offshoot into several different branches, and it has a great legacy for the movements that would follow, put under this greater umbrella called post-minimalism art. There was the light and space movement in California, land art became more popular all over US, eccentric abstraction, and other developments were in direct response to the problems that minimalism posed. Minimalism seemed to be one of those things where it had to be done, someone had to push it all the way, but it also was scary because there's really no going further from there. What do you guys think? I hope you enjoyed this video. This minimalism video was highly requested last time when I asked you guys what you wanted to see next. So I would like to hear what your vote is between color field painters like Mark Rothko, Bernard Newman, or Impressionists, Renoir, Degas, all that jazz. That should be a good one. Be sure to check out my blog post at LittleArtTalks.com. There will be one that accompanies this very video about Franz Kline and his life and work. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.